because in a law firm you are directly working under a partner, or let's say an associate partner for the sake of it. So that exposure somehow would be missing, because in a bank.
Hello everyone, I'm Surabhi, founder of LegalWiki. LegalWiki is your go-to source for legal education and inspiration, where we engage with top professionals across the legal industry to bring you valuable insights. I welcome everyone to our 22nd episode of this podcast series. Today, I'm excited to have Mr. Mohit, who cleared the IBPS SO Law Officer Recruitment Exam in year 2023, and now he's the head of legal department at the Bank of Baroda, Gujarat. To mention, he is leading the legal department of a significant administrative unit having a substantial portfolio with assets and liabilities valued at a staggering INR 17,000 crore. Today, he has joined us to share his insights on how to prepare for the IBPS Law Officer examination, what is the role of the law officer, and what are the growth opportunities ahead. A very warm welcome to you, Mohit. Congratulations on clearing one of the most difficult exams, and I'm sure it would have been challenging for you, right?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for such a wonderful introduction that you gave. Thank you. It was a great feeling when I cleared the exam, and the transformation from an aspirant uh, to coming to the industry and working. That's a significant transformation, and it has been so far so good.
Great. So, Mohit, let's get started. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
So, Mohit, my first question from you is like, what inspired you to choose this career path? You could have easily entered into law firm. I have seen your profile. You have interned with top tier law firms. You're from a good college. And then, so why did you like decide to prepare for IBPS law officer exam?
Ma'am, some of my seniors were already working in banks. So when I talked to them, they told me that whenever you are selected as a legal officer, generally you are posted at regional offices, and you oversee, let's say, minimum of 100 to uh, somewhere above the 100. That is the number of branches that you have to oversee. Their entire legal operations you will have to handle. So that exposure, I don't think so. I would have gotten it in a law firm, because in a law firm you are directly working under a partner, or let's say an associate partner for the sake of it. So that exposure somehow would be missing, because in a bank you, as a legal officer, you will have to handle. You are responsible for your own department, and everything that you do, it directly creates an impact on banks business. So that's why the exposure that I have gotten here, I wouldn't have gotten in a law firm. So that was the main motivation, and that's.
Perfect. Recently I was having the conversation with the another person who she was also from a law firm only. So I asked her, why did you leave the law firm? She exactly said the same thing, that when it comes to the law firm, you won't be getting the this much of exposure. And when you are working like independently, or as you mentioned that you want to be a
Mm.
like officer working with a bank, so you'll get a more exposure. You will be working with the different transactions. So that's the one
Yes, ma'am.
aspect, and that's the difference between when
Mm.
you're working in a law firm and you're working somewhere else. So
Mm. Like I can tell you one transaction which recently happened to us. From the borrower's perspective, from the borrower's side, there was an entire law firm which was overseeing the transaction, and from bank, I was the only person along with a couple of empaneled advocates, and we were overseeing the entire transaction. So the amount of exposure that I got into that transaction, I would not have gotten into a law firm if I was working in a law firm.
okay.
So that was the.
Hmm. So let's talk more about the IBPS law officer exam. So, can you give us a roadmap, keeping in mind that someone who is planning to appear for the IBPS examination and that person is naive? So, accordingly, you can explain us what will be the exam pattern, syllabus, so what was the study material you referred, resources, like everything. Like what was your
Okay.
daily routine? Did you give like mock test, general awareness? From where did you study? Self study, coaching, everything. We would like to know the roadmap.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, this IBPS SO law officer exam is centrally conducted, and all public sector banks except State Bank of India, they report vacancies to IBPS. This is one. This is just like uh, uh, UPSC, and it conducts recruitment exams for all financial organizations that come under the government of India, be it insurance companies, be it regulatory bodies. So all recruitment exams are conducted by IBPS. So what public sector banks they do is that they report their probable vacancies in the next financial year of law officers, and then those vacancies are pulled up and common vacancies are notified by IBPS, and then the notification is out. Uh, then it invites applications, and then the exam process starts like that. Coming to the exam process, in the exam process, there are three stages: preliminary exam, mains exam, and the interview stage. So in preliminary exam, there are three sections. That is, one is general awareness, the other is reasoning, and the third is English. So these three sections are there. We have to score individual sectional cutoff in these three, and then we have to secure an aggregate cutoff as well. And if you make it into the prelims, then you appear for the mains exam. In mains exam, no such sections are there. There is only one section, professional knowledge. It's only based on the law. All questions pertain to law only. And if we make it in the law, if we make it in the mains examination, then we get a call for interview. In interview as well, we are the questions range from your HR related questions like tell me about yourself, some basic info about your background, info about your education, where did your LLB from, or let's say they might be asking you questions on what were your area of interest during law school, or what did you do in your law school as a co-curricular activities, and where do you see yourself, that type of questions along with some professional questions. And if you also make it into interview, then if final cutoff is prepared, in which marks of mains and interview stages are combined and aggregated, and then a final cutoff is prepared. So after that, whoever gets selected is sent appointment letters for the post. That's how the entire process looks.
So, during the interview, they didn't ask you any like technical question related to law.
They will ask, ma'am. They did ask technical questions related to law. In fact, I would say 95% of the questions were related to technical knowledge only, and only 5% questions for me. Only 5% questions were asked from HR related information or
So,
like that.
when it comes to technical questions, they will be asking questions from the banking laws or like overall laws. What we have, what you
Overall
have
laws.
studied during the say, 5 years. Huh?
Or banking laws as well, and they can ask from professional. They can ask from your syllabus as well, what you have read in law school, or if you are mentioning that you have interned somewhere, they might ask you a question on the work that you did in your internship.
Okay. So,
And I yes, you are also asked about the preparation. How did I go for it? So for prelims examinations, the key is to give maximum marks and see where you fall, and accordingly adapt yourself. For example, if you are falling short in general awareness,
mhm.
so you will have to read general awareness more. You will give time to current affairs more. If someone is lagging in reasoning, then time has to be sufficiently allocated for reasoning. In that way, we have to gauge our strategy, and we accordingly have to adapt it in view of the marks that we are giving. And for mains, we it's most of the times is bare act. 95% questions I have seen from bare acts only. Uh, Case law based questions are hardly asked. If you are thorough with bare acts, then you can easily crack this exam.
Okay. So how did you prepare for the exam? Like, it was your self-study, or did you took the help of some coaching institute also?
It was entirely self-study based, man. And I only appeared for mocks,
Okay.
like, so to see that which is the area that I'm lagging behind, and I accordingly gave more time to it on that week area only. So I didn't take coaching for it because at the time of CLAT, that is right after my class 12th, I was familiar with all these topics in reasoning, GA, it was basic awareness only. So I didn't feel the need to take coaching for prelims. And for mains as well, I did not take coaching. I was reading bare acts only. That's all.
So I think like self-study is sufficient if you're
Yes, ma'am.
preparing
It's
diligently.
in fact it is the best. If you are able to fine tune your strategy by seeing your performance in mocks, then it's sufficient to get you a selection.
So what was your revision strategy? Like when it comes to like self-study, how did you divided the syllabus, time regarding each stages? So what was your plan?
Ma'am, for like when the result of prelims is announced, generally IBPS gives you very short amount of time, very few days you have. I
Hmm.
remember in when I was appearing for IBPS, the result was announced on 17th of January 2023, and the mains exam was scheduled on 31st of January 2023.
Okay.
So these 12, 13 days is all you have, that you will have to prepare in these 12, 13 days only. So for the I made a plan that for first 10 to 10 days I will only read new things that I haven't read yet, because banking law is very unique subject, and they expect you, okay, you will be reading you have read banking laws, and questions are asked from banking laws only, not like predominantly banking laws
Hmm.
related questions are there, and questions are asked from general laws only, like CPC, evidence, Companies Act, Partnership Act, Contract Act. These all questions are there. But banking laws से related questions भी आते हैं, और these topics are particularly difficult because we are reading for the first time, because I did not have corporate law honors in my college. So
Okay.
I first finished these new subjects that I was reading. Once I was thorough with these subjects, then I moved on to revision and all. Like, for example, CPC, CRPC, evidence, these subjects we have read. We have some basic information about these subjects. So I scheduled these subjects for the later part of my of the time that was available. And in the last 2 3 days, I only did revision of whatever I had earlier read. So that's the way how I approached it.
Okay, great. So moving forward, whenever you prepare for the competitive examination, like having
Yes, sir.
dedication, perseverance, and patience is very important. So when
Yeah.
you are preparing for the examination, so I'm sure you might have also faced some sort of challenges. So I want to know what kind of challenges you faced while preparing for the examination, and how did you overcome that? Or while preparing, any setbacks you faced during that particular journey, or any like motivation or style or mantra did you follow?
The general setback that aspirants face is that they have appeared till interview, and everything has gone so far very good in their own terms. Uh, सब कुछ अच्छा गया, और despite that they did not make it to the finalists. I think that's the biggest setback that one faces during the preparation time.
Correct.
So it's just a matter of fate. Like, some things you have to leave it to the fate, and you have to be calm with yourself that, okay, I'm doing my best, I'm giving my best. If I'm not making it into this list, I will make it into some other list, because I have here till interview. There must be something in me that I reached till interview.
Correct.
So that's one way to approach it.
Okay. So moving forward, based on your experience, what are the key mistakes that aspirants should avoid while preparing? And like I think mains exam is scheduled in the month of December only, 14 December. So how should they
Mhm.
structure their study plan? And if you can mention what are some lesser known but important tips that candidates should keep in mind and that can give them edge.
Ma'am, I would advise that the aspirants first they should read the banking related laws because they are very technical in nature. Unless you have some idea about banking, how banking operates, or like how the banking and finance operates, you won't be able to grasp these laws because they are very technical. You first finish these laws and then you move to general subjects like CPC, which you have already read in your law school. So first few days should be given or these technical subjects which you have not read earlier. So first finish these technical subjects related to banking law, and then you can move to your conventional subjects. In that way, you will be able to maximize your chances of selection.
So any book or any material did you refer, or you only stick to the Bear Act?
Uh, Bayer Act, we can refer to Bayer Act. Bayer Act is the like most easily available source
Hmm.
and most easily available and most readily available as well. Uh, so Bayer Act, I think, for not just for the banks but for all PSU exams I've seen so far, that questions are generally asked from Bayer Act only
So that
in
would be
majority of the
sufficient.
areas. That would be sufficient. And if you still wish to check that how far, like to what extent you are remembering, to what extent you can recall the provisions of Bail Act, then you can refer to CA related videos are there on YouTube, Rapid Revision. So they give you some MCQs type questions to practice. Or let's say there are some channels on YouTube uh, where MCQs related to acts, banking laws, or general laws, or for that matter, you can also refer to judiciary related MCQs to so as to practice your understanding of the Bayer Act, like how far you have grasped it.
Okay, great. So now I think we have discussed a lot related to the exam. Let's talk about your role as a bank officer, law officer. So tell us more about your role. What are the kind of works you are supposed to do as a law officer in the bank, and how is your work-life balance in this role?
Ma'am, as I already told that I'm the legal I'm head of the legal department of the bank
Mhm.
of this particular region. And generally, in public sector banks, what I have seen is that whenever you join, you are posted in a region only, and you have certain number of branches to cater to their legal whatever legal hurdles or operations they face. So the wo- the variety of work is multifold. You get on one day you might be asked to give an opinion on credit related issue, or let's say a loan proposal is under consideration. It's a big ticket loan, and you might be able to give opinion on a certain legal aspect. And on the other day, you might be asked to provide an opinion on recovery related issue, or some other day you might expect that a succession law related issue has been referred to you for opinion. And apart from that, in this public sector bank in which I am working right now, vetting of large value loan documents also happen. So there is a certain threshold above which the documentation that is being done that has to be vetted by the legal officer. Then only whatever amount has been sanctioned that can be disbursed to the borrower. So and apart from that, litigation monitoring is one aspect. So all the litigation that has been filed by the bank or against the bank, that has to be monitored, and course correction is to be ensured. And you have to provide inputs to the advocates in many cases. Like, for example, I can tell you that there was one substantial matter in that recovery tribunal which was filed against the bank for whatever recovery measures we took. So, so that reply has to be filed by finalized in consultation with the panel advocate, and you can also give inputs to the advocate that this is the particular point that can be added or removed. So that's all, ma'am.
Okay. So, I do have one follow-up question related to this.
Hmm.
So, while vetting the documents or while giving the advice, if
Hmm.
anything goes wrong, who will be held responsible?
If anything goes wrong.
Huh. Like, for example, by mistake, if you have given some like wrong advice, or while vetting
Hmm.
the documents, if you have missed out something, who will be held
Hmm.
responsible for that? Like, is there any like,
Obviously, who vetted the documents?
okay, so there will be a responsibility on you in that situation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So
There
the
is
stake is
accountability.
high. Like,
Wherever
if the
money,
stake is high.
yeah, the stakes are very high. Wherever money is involved, bank being a financial institution, even like every paisa is accounted for.
Okay.
Every single paisa is accounted for. That I can tell you.
Okay. I got it.
So the stakes are very high,
Huh.
and that's why the exposure part that we initially talked about,
Uh-huh.
that you won't be getting such exposure in law firms.
Okay. Correct.
That's where it plays out.
So after becoming a law officer, what are the growth opportunities and career paths available? So now after this, what is
And there are multiple career opportunities available. If one wishes to stay in the bank, then obviously we can close to higher up the corporate ladder. That's one way. And if one wishes to exit, then the exit opportunities are also very nice. Like like private banks, they will be readily available to hire you because you already have experience in banking sector.
Hmm.
And even if one wishes to pursue litigation, one can do so as well, especially in debt recovery tribunals and high courts.
okay? So now, Mohit, coming to the last part of this podcast, so we will be having a rapid fire round. I will be asking you 5 questions and just to know more about you. So should I start?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, ma'am.
So the first question, what do you prefer, book or podcast?
I prefer a book.
Book. So any
That's
book,
although it is a different matter that I'm not able to, read it continuously for half an hour or 1 hour.
okay. So the work might
Hmm.
keep you busy.
But books are generally what I prefer instead of a podcast.
Yeah. So any book you would like to recommend, which like everyone should must read?
For law students or in general.
In general, you can just recommend.
Even one book that I recently read was the biography of Nani Palkiwala.
Okay.
Every law student should read it, and that's a great book, very
Hmm.
inspiring, in fact. So that I would recommend. Even
That's
non
very
lawyers can
famous
also
book.
read it.
Yes, correct.
Hmm.
Okay.
Even non lawyers can also read it.
Right. So one legal skill that every lawyer should master.
Uh, Foreseeability.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate?
Foreseeability. Yeah, sure. You should be able to foresee if one specific line or one clause is there in the contract or in some legal document. What can be the consequences of that particular line? Because see, let's say this contract is getting executed today, and there is a turnover of this contract for 10 years. You don't know what n number of circumstances that can play out on the basis of that line. So this line should be, you should be able to foresee what consequences this particular clause is going to have on your overall.
So moving on to the next question, one advice for law students.
Advice for law students. I would say that you should explore everything, and then only you should stick to a particular domain. And while you are still in college, you should try out your hands in everything: debating, mooting, paper writing, everything, and see what suits you, and then stick to it.
Okay, great. Next question, one subject you wish was taught better in law schools.
Corporate finance.
Okay. Any specific reason for that?
Corporate finance and company law, both. In fact, it's a combination of two.
Huh.
Company law as well,
Okay. Any specific
because
reason?
there exists a wide gap between what we are taught and what actually happens in law firms in practice.
Correct. So now the last question, a lawyer that you look up to.
Harish Salve, for sure.
Okay, great. That's
Uh,
it. Mohit. We have come to the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this wonderful experience with us. I hope our conversation about the exam will be helpful to the aspirants. And those who are watching, thank you so much for watching this. Please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions from us. So, thank you so much, Mohit.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.